The rear admiral was caught on camera being really weird. Joe Biden fell up the stairs, and something spicy to open the show. All that's coming up on I'm Right. I want you to imagine something. Just stay with me for a minute. I promise we're going to get to politics here in a couple minutes. I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine you've been loaded onto a train car against your will. It's hot on the train car, can hardly breathe. Everyone's packed in there like cattle. And you finally get to a big camp. You get off at the camp, and there's a man standing there. He's wearing actually a white lab coat because he's a doctor. And he's looking at the people who are being hauled off the train at gunpoint because this is a death camp. And he's looking around, and he lays his eyes on the person you love the most. Whoever that may be, the person you love the most. And he says, that's the one I want. And he grabs him, and he takes him away, and he goes and performs medical experiments on them without the benefit of any anesthesia. I'm going somewhere with this, just hang with me. Eventually you find out that the person you love the most died while essentially being tortured and having their liver taken out without anesthesia. Now that you're there, now that you're in that dark place, just stay with me for a moment. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about you getting called up for jury duty. You got called up for jury duty. All right. Woohoo! You find out when you show up at the trial that is actually that doctor on trial. But, hold on. The doctor, he's not on trial for what he did to your loved one at all. No, he's on trial for unpaid parking tickets. I guess he does this a lot. He's got like 1,000 of them. He's on trial for unpaid parking tickets. And so he's up for serious prison time. He's been warned and fined. He won't pay him. He's up for 5-10 years of prison time. And you are going to be on the jury. Let me ask you something. You haven't seen a single piece of evidence in this weird kind of dark hypothetical scenario I just gave you. Obviously, we're talking about a Nazi doctor here. So you haven't seen any evidence yet, but let me ask you something. Are you going to convict that person? Does it even matter what comes out at the trial? Would you care? This is a monster. This is a monster in human form. Is there anything that would stop you from convicting that person? Now, why am I talking about this? Why am I bringing this up? Well, here's why. I am very fond of saying some things that make some people angry. I don't say them because they make people angry. I say them because I believe them. And I realize some of these things are crazy and uncomfortable. One of the things sound crazy. I think they're accurate. But anyway, one of the things I'm fond of telling you is you need to move. If you're in a blue area now, still in the year 2023, you need to pack up and move. If you can. I realize there are job concerns, and maybe you're taking care of your sick mother, or I realize there are some people, many people who can't. But if it's possible, you need to relocate your family and get out. Why do I say that? Well, there are a bunch of different reasons. I'm not going to go into all of them again now. Long-time viewers of the show will know the reasons, but one of the reasons I bring up constantly is if you are in a blue area now, it's not like a blue area was in 1980. You have an activist communist mayor. You have an activist communist DA funded by George Soros, put there because he is a communist. He is put there for a purpose, and it is not prosecuting criminals. And you have activist communists who will be sitting on your jury. And these jurors of yours, when that George Soros-funded communist DA takes that lifelong felon and springs him out of jail, And then he comes and tries to stab your wife when you're on the way out of dinner one night, and you have to pull out your firearm and put him down, and it was self-defense, and you're good to go. But you see, it's a Soros-funded DA who's there to help his friends and punish his enemies. So while he's deciding whether or not to charge you, he pulls up your Facebook account and says, wow, look at this right-winger. Hey, you see this Nazi in a MAGA hat? Charge him. Well, if that's the case for you, I want you to pay very close attention to this video. This is the foreman for the grand jury for Donald Trump in Atlanta. I want you to know that when this person sits on your jury, as you sit there in New York, Chicago, I'm not leaving, I love the city, I'm staying blue, baby, California. While you sit there and you just enjoy it up, God forbid you ever get crossways with the law, what do you think this person's gonna do with you?
Did you personally want to hear from the former president?
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
What would your reaction be if the DA decides against bringing any charges after what you've seen?
I will be sad if nothing happens. Like that's about my only request there is for something to happen. I don't necessarily know what it is. I'm not the legal expert. I'm not the judge. I'm not the lawyers, but I will be frustrated if nothing happens. This was too much information, too much of my time, too much of everyone's time, too much of their time, too much argument in court about getting people to appear before us. There was just too much for this to just be, oh, okay, we're good, bye.
And if it was just a perjury charge, or perjury charges, would that be acceptable to you?
That's fine. I will be happy as long as something happens.
Obviously, this is about Trump, but this is about so much more than Trump. Jesse, stop telling me to move. Jesse, I love LA. I got the breakfast taco place right down at the corner, man. I know. I love LA too. Jesse, I love New York, man. New York City is like my favorite place in the world. I love it too. I get it. I get it. I've lived here my whole life. My grandpa lived. I get it. I understand the history. I understand the tradition. I understand the ties. But I want you to understand. There's a reason all the January 6th political prisoners have had the book thrown at them, because every single one of them have been tried in front of 12 jurors, just like that vile little communist, who will without hesitation throw you in a dark hole and rip you away from your family for the rest of your life. Not because you did anything wrong, but because we have a brand new Democrat Party in this country, and they are activist communists, and they mean business. That's why I tell you it over and over and over again, and I'm never going to stop. You are not protected in a blue area. You have no protection. You are naked. You are. Even the cops. What do you think? Have you paid attention to the cops? Have you paid attention to the retirements? Who do you think's retiring? Packing it up, going to turn in their papers. All the good ones. They're all gone. They're all not gone yet, but they are. They're leaving. They're gone. They're not sticking around for this. They're going to go be a cop in Florida somewhere. They're done. They're done with it. You won't even have the cops on your side. Not the cops, not the DA, not the mayor, not the jury. So when I tell people to move, it understandably is a spicy thing to suggest. You inevitably will have people bark back at you and say things like, I'm never leaving, Jesse. I'm standing to fight. And I will tell you, I admire the attitude, and boy, it sounds tough. Sounds tough. You're not leaving at all. Okay. That should be a real comfort to your wife and kids for the next 30 years while they visit you behind a pane of bulletproof glass in state prison because you wanted to stay and fight, and 12 communists looked at your Facebook posts and decided you were a Nazi. You see, they look at you just like you looked at that Nazi in the very beginning of the show. That may make you uncomfortable, but I am right. We have a huge show for you tonight, and I mean a huge show for you tonight. You thought that was spicy? The spice has only begun. Now, once you get out of the city, you do need to do something else. You need to go get yourself a subscription to Chalk. Because, well, actually, you should do that while you're still in the city now, because, well, America's testosterone levels are free-falling. 50% of what they were 50 years ago. Now, do the math on that. That's just 50 years ago. We're not talking ancient history. What does that mean 50 years from now? Our testosterone levels are 0? We are on our way to a net zero testosterone society. Natural herbal supplements are our way out. Chalk.com, they have a male vitality stack, fellas. Ladies, they have a female vitality stack if you want to feel better. Chalk.com, promo code Jesse gets you 35% off the subscriptions. We need it. Society needs it. We'll be back.
Secretary, what do you have to say? Hi, how are you? Good. Jennie Taer at the Daily Caller News Foundation. What do you have to say to the folks in Ohio, East Palestine, who are suffering right now?
Well, I'd refer you to about a dozen interviews I've given today, and if you'd like to arrange a conversation, be sure to reach out to our press office, but I'm not going to have that conversation with you. Just walking
You
down
don't
the
have a
street
message
here.
for them?
I do, and I shared it with the press many times today. I'd refer you to those comments.
Do you mind sharing it with us?
No, I'm going to refer you to the comments that I made to the press because right now I'm taking some personal time and I'm walking down the street.
Are you going down there?
What's that?
Are you going down there at all?
Yep, I am.
When are you going?
I'll share that when I'm ready.
Okay,
Not talking on the
thank you.
street. Can I get a photo of you?
Yeah.
Can I get a photo of you? Joining me now, that reporter, investigative reporter with the Daily Caller, Jennie Taer. Jennie, Pete has always struck me, I've never met the man like you just did, but he's always struck me in the debates and whatnot as just somebody with a real simmering anger underneath. And I saw it bubbling out there too. Does he strike you as that? You just met the man.
It certainly seemed like the topic or just the fact that I had maybe caught him off guard struck a nerve. I'm not sure what his motive was in taking a picture of me. I have nothing to hide. I'm happy to pose for the photo, I guess. But it seems like a simple question, something that is of a concern for these people that are suffering in East Palestine. I think they want answers, and it was a public space. I wasn't, going to ask any questions further. As you could hear, I said thank you, and then was trying to walk away before he did take the photo.
Yeah, that's creepy. Well, I'm sure you didn't know this, but I'm actually an investigative journalist myself. Here I was with Elizabeth Warren.
Love you.
Love your t-shirt.
Run for president, please.
Right now, we got to be in this fight. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take
Appreciate
care.
you. He's going down tonight.
Okay, obviously I'm kidding. I'm not a journalist, but you are. How did you find it?
My job is a 24/7 job. I was just about to go to my yoga class last night, and I went into reporter mode when I saw him walking down the street, and I was respectful of the space and perimeter around Secret Service, and was apparently disturbing his walk. And this is my job, just as it is for the Secretary of Transportation. He also has a 24/7 job, just like for us, the news cycle runs 24/7, and you have to always be able to speak to the American people and to be able to answer these tough questions. I don't think it really was anything out of what a journalist should be doing.
Yeah, I agree. Jennie, I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, let's get to another secretary out there. The secretary of, the security of our homeland, Mayorkas. Mayorkas is somebody we kind of forget about sometimes, but keep in mind, America is being remade under the Biden administration. It is. It's being remade demographically. It is not, and I need to stress this again, and I'm not speaking to you. I'm going to sound upset with you. I swear I'm not. I'm upset with GOP politicians and the other people on TV and radio and so many other. They're not failing at the border. It's not Joe Biden's mistakes at the border, his whoopsie at the border. Oh, whoops, did we open up the border and flood the country with illegal immigrants? Oh, dang it, guys, dag-nabbit. It's all on purpose. They are purposely flooding the country with illegal immigrants. And Alejandro Mayorkas, he's the point man on this. Joe Biden needed somebody. He needed somebody to take over the Department of Homeland Security who would be willing to attack the security of the homeland. And he found him. Here he is.
What do you think is the basis for their calling for your impeachment? Do you think you've done anything wrong?
No, I don't. I think it is a disagreement over policy, and I think it is used for political purposes to continue a negative dialogue about a migration challenge that is not unique to the United States.
A migration challenge that is not unique to the United States of America. When do the impeachment hearings start? Wrap your mind around this, because I was thinking about this morning. It's the reason I wanted to play that for you. I was thinking about this. Wrap your mind around how destructive all the heads of the various departments are. We played the Rear Admiral. What is he? The Department of Transportation. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, what's the main mode or one of the main things that is needed for transportation of all kinds? Oil and gas. Oil and gas is central to transportation. It's how man moves to and fro on the earth right now. It just does. Either it directly powers what moves you to and fro, or it's an ingredient in what moves you to and fro. It is. And yet the Department of Transportation, Mayor Pete has said everything's a climate decision. That oil and gas is bad. Or Department of Energy, Jennifer Granholm. The Department of Energy, we shouldn't have one of those, but we do. And so it's her job to make sure, hey, we're good to go energy-wise, right? She takes over, and we're promptly shutting down pipelines, wiping out the energy sector. Things like fuel oil have basically doubled. She got there, she's put in a position, and then uses her position to destroy what she's there to take care of. Mayorkas, head of the Department of Homeland Security. His job, again, is the security of the homeland. He gets there and promptly begins attacking the security of the homeland. Do you know how bad, speaking of which, you know how bad illegal immigration is right now? Do you know how brutal it is? It's so brutal that the most crazy communist lefty city in the United States of America, San Francisco, is actually considering changing its sanctuary city status. That's how bad illegal immigration is breaking the United States of America. It's filling up hospitals, it's filling up schools, it's gobbling up resources. It is going to collapse the system. And that, of course, goes all the way back to the Cloward-Piven strategy. That goes back to what we've just talked about it being on purpose. This is something nefarious. This is something that they're doing with a purpose. Again, these people didn't get into office and look at things like our southern border and say to themselves, well, I don't know, I just have a different idea of how to do things. They got into office and they look at our southern border and they think, how can I use my position of power to destroy the United States of America? And that's what they've done. It's what Mayor Pete's done at transportation. It's what Graham Holmes done at energy. It's what Merrick Garland has done as head of the DOJ. Truly a ugly, nefarious, dirty people are in charge of this country now. All right. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit of Second Amendment next. Before we talk Second Amendment, let's do this. Things are bad. I don't have to explain that to you. You know things are bad economically. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You know that because you go buy groceries. Everybody knows the economy isn't doing well right now. But let's expand beyond that really quickly. Internationally, the whole Russia-Ukraine disaster. You know how much of the world's food, including ours, comes from that area? Oh, and did I mention China's now getting involved? China produces 20% of the world's goods. 20%. I don't know what all this means and where all this is going, but I do know it's a good time to be prepared. My Patriot Supply has emergency 3-month food kits. Not only do they have them, right now they're giving away $200 worth of free survival gear when you get one. It ships fast, it ships anonymously, and please keep it that way when you get yours. Everyone in your home needs an emergency 3-month food kit. If you live alone, just get one. You don't have to break the bank. If you live with 4 people, you need 4 of them. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and get yours today, okay? mypatriotsupply.com. We'll be back. All right, it is time to lighten the mood. Now, when I think about January 6th, I think about our political prisoners. That's really the only part of it I care about. I think about all the people, all the patriots who thought they were doing the right thing, or even some who did the wrong thing. And I think about how, for purely political reasons, they've had their lives destroyed. So when I think about January 6th, it kind of bums me out. But apparently, it flat out excites some people. We'll get to that in a second. Before we get to that, I just wanted to remind you, just a little reminder, that you're not stuck in your timeshare. I swear you're not. I know they've told you you are. That you went into the seminar and you got the timeshare and you had a good time. At least I hope you had a good time, at least for a while. And now you're done with it and you thought you could get out and you call them up one day and say, hey, man, I'm done. You guys can have it back. Did they laugh at you on the other line? Hopefully not. But they told you no, didn't they? No, sorry. You're in for life. So read the fine print. You signed up for life. That's how they get people. So then you're paying annual fees every year. It sucks. You're not stuck. Lone Star Transfer, it's what they do. They get you out. Family company. They've helped over 18,000 people get out legally and permanently. You're one phone call away. Call 844-310-2646. All right? 844-310-2646. Now, January 6th is a bummer for me, not for Joy Behar.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy hands him more than 40,000 hours of Capitol security footage from the January 6th insurrection.
Look, it's not like that was a one-off. Chuck Schumer feels the same way.
Senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the election. If they believe Donald John Trump incited the election.
I'll see you tomorrow.